President Biden having second thoughts on ending an effective Trump-era border policy only after Democrats revolted and started siding with Republicans, revolting Democrats. Biden is reportedly thinking about delaying his repeal of Title 42, which has blocked nearly 2 million people from entering the country illegally. Republican governors are trying to clean up this mess by launching a border strike force, but maybe they're forgetting that Biden already has his own.
Does the president still have confidence that the vice president can get to the bottom of root causes of migration?
He absolutely does, and is grateful for her work in doing exactly that.
Why?
Why does he have confidence, or should I give you an update on a couple of the things we've done?
There is no update, Judge. What kind of update that she found the root causes? It's worse than ever now.
Well, she did.
It's a fair question.
Didn't you hear?
Yeah.
It was about doing what we have been doing every day.
What about space? And space, how space connects all of us.
The final frontier?
Yeah, there is absolutely nothing that she has found out about root causes. I mean, she hasn't really been to the border, the real border of what's going on. And that's why you've got the Republican governors who are looking to unveil their own strike force or whatever they want to call it. They want to combat the gangs. They want to share intelligence. They want to do what law enforcement does, and that is mutually assist each other. And you know, kudos to Abbott and to DeSantis. Let's start moving the border to those cities that have no idea of what's going on at the border. And by the way, those Democrats, those 10 Democrat senators, they're not doing it because all of a sudden they feel like, gee, they're really violating the law and we are conspirators and accessories to their violating the law. They're doing it because they know they're going to get their butts voted out of office because they are not supporting the American people.
Two good points there, Geraldo. The one that the judge mentioned about making the immigration problem a visual one by Abbott bringing the border on a road trip. I mean, that's working.
That's grandstanding. What really brought the border to people's attention and where they got it in a visceral way was drones, and where you could actually see the crossing all day long of the Rio Grande and the
but that was never shown
under
on
the
other
bridges
networks.
and so forth.
That was never shown on other networks.
Well, I think the picture and the visual has gotten out, and I do believe that immigration will be a big issue. Not the biggest, not nearly the biggest, as I always say. Inflation has that dubious distinction. My problem with Title 42 is simple. We're saying now that the disease has run its course, essentially. Now the hospitalizations are down, people are not dying. The era of COVID is ending, hence the no mask. If it's over, it's over. Title 42 is a health provision to protect us from people spreading the disease. So why don't you just call it what it is? It is an effective way to reduce the migration, the illegal migration of single males. I mean, that's what it is. Why don't you make it, an ordinance or a law or a rule, but don't hide it under the disguise of being a health-related ordinance. Call it whatever. Call it, single males go home, or where's Mexico to help us?
Single males go home. That's the E Club on any military base. But anyway, look, I assume you're going to let me talk now. I'd like to talk about this.
Of course.
So with Title 42, I agree with you. Like all these Republicans calling to keep Title 42 going, that is a coward's way out. Listen, you have to tackle this problem legitimately, and using our government, using power from our government in that manipulated way, I'm never going to support, regardless if it benefits a policy I want or not. At the end of the day, what they should do is absolutely let Title 42 rescind, and then every bit of the problem hanging around Democrats for the next two elections. I come from a town that's 78% Hispanic inside the city limits. I actually understand this problem. What put the border on people's minds is living in towns, even in Georgia, where it's a problem, where my sister's T-boned by an illegal immigrant that never got a driver's license. My uncle's T-boned by an illegal immigrant that never got a driver's license. My uncle has to pull a drunk immigrant out of a car who just T-boned the lady that plays the organ at our church. I'm not saying these are terrible people, but you can't come here and live in the shadows in such a way that you don't have the option to even understand the laws in which you are supposed to abide. everyone's being cheated to include the immigrants. And it's not just about single males. When you pile a classroom full of 20 kids that have been here for 2 weeks and can't speak our language, or there's not enough teachers to get them through, then all the other kids are suffering and those kids are suffering. It's about the entirety of the problem. And this little cheap way of putting a Band-Aid on a tourniquet problem should not be what we allow our elected representatives to call
I am proud of you for taking that position, but didn't you tell me how safe your hometown was? You don't even lock your car?
My hometown is 2 hours from where I live now. Yeah.
Well, I think that.
And it is safe.
I think
it is safe, but that is
undocumented migrants bring down crime.
Joey's house is safe because he's armed to the teeth.
You don't.
The guy has an arsenal bigger than most militias.
That's
you don't
right.
bring down crime by having an influx of people who don't even understand the law in which crime is regulated.
An influx of people who have not been vetted, and you don't know who among them is the drunk driver,
And who may,
the guy who beats his wife,
deserve a
the guy who's
legitimate
a
shot at this
pedophile,
country.
the guy who's
it's
a
not
terrorist.
against them.
The judge made a second point. Surprising. 2 good points from the judge
Oh,
today.
thank you, Greg.
You're quite welcome. She was talking about how it really didn't change among the Democrats until there was political fallout. You always think about, remember, the kids in cages didn't exist when Obama was in office, but then they existed when Trump's in office, and then they didn't exist again when Biden was in office, according to the media. So I think it was CNN, Chris Cillizza described this immigration crisis as a sneaky problem for this fall because they haven't been watching it. It kind of just snuck up on them.
Remember when you said that Fox News is like an early warning system for Democrats? Like this story. I mean, there's like, how could you miss it?
Yes.
But they're not missing it. Do you know how? You know when you have a to-do list and there's that one item that you never really want to deal with, so you just copy it over to the next day. Immigration has become that for the administration. They know it's their biggest, most difficult problem, and every day they're like, maybe tomorrow we'll work on that.
That's a good Fan Mail Friday question. What's the thing on your to-do list you keep pushing over?
Okay, well, maybe we should use that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But when the Democrats started bailing on President Biden, then he had no choice.
Yeah.
Because now he recognizes what you were saying in terms of the politics. He's in this unpalatable position. He knows that he's got all these Democrats that are going to start to move away. Usually in a midterm year, that happens, if the president's in trouble, that happens in the fall. This is April.
Yeah.
And so on the merits, they have to figure out a way to deal with this. There is a way. You could lift Title 42 and actually do something about the border. That is also an option. But it's the last thing on the to-do list.
Yeah.
And could he ever get bipartisan support? Ever?
Does he try? No.
All the trying
They
I've
just throw up
seen,
their hands.
even
All they say is, well, Republicans need to have an idea. Like, well, there's lots of ideas, and they don't like those ideas.
Exactly.
Codify Title 42. There's an idea.
All right, we got to move on.
Defer again to the CDC.
Whiz.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.